Ah, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. The place that sounds so lush and magical, you'd think Mother Nature herself opened a pop-up shop in the middle of a desert. Touted as one of the seven wonders of the ancient world, these legendary gardens have fascinated dreamers, historians, and architects alike for centuries. Despite countless vivid descriptions, we still can't say for sure if they even existed. Talk about history's ultimate catfish, a slice of Eden in ancient Iraq. Picture it, Babylon bustling with trade, towering structures, and a breathtaking garden rising into the sky. Supposedly located in what's now modern-day Iraq, these gardens were described as a stunning marriage between cutting-edge engineering and pure botanical bliss. Elevated terraces dripping in exotic plants, brilliant irrigation systems defying desert dryness, basically the original urban jungle. Ancient tales paint them as a true oasis plunked right into the chaos of the metropolis. But here's the bummer. No archaeological dig has uncovered the smoking gun. No definitive evidence that says, yep, here's the world's most famous hanging garden. Still, the legend of Babylon's leafy masterpiece endures, celebrated as proof that humans have always tried to one-up nature, and sometimes they might have pulled it off. A king's grand romantic gesture. Credit or blame for the Hanging Gardens usually falls on Nebuchadnezzar II. He ruled Babylon from 605 to 562 BCE, a time when building ridiculously massive and impressive things was all the rage. Nebuchadnezzar wasn't just a homebody with a green thumb. He was a king who went big in every sense. Palaces, temples, fortifications, and allegedly a gravity-defying garden. According to ancient sources, this wasn't just vanity gardening. It was a labor of love for his homesick queen, Amytis of Media, modern-day Iran. Poor Amytis missed her homeland's lush, mountainous landscapes. So what does Nebuchadnezzar do? Buy her flowers? Write a sweet poem? Nope. He commissions an entire living, breathing mountain of gardens. Talk about setting unrealistic expectations for boyfriends everywhere. The gardens, teeming with greenery and designed to mimic the hills she left behind, weren't just a love letter. They were a power move, showing the world that Babylon's king could literally reshape nature to suit his whims. Historical gossip? Who said what? Since Babylonian records suspiciously skip over mentioning these fabled gardens, most of what we know, or think we know, comes from later writers like Oasis and Strabo. Basically, the ancient world's version of travel bloggers. Oasis, a Babylonian priest hanging out during the Hellenistic period, spun tales of a structure built with stone columns, high terraces, and overflowing with plants. He even detailed a clever irrigation system. Imagine a primitive but wildly impressive version of modern hydroponics. Then there's Strabo, a Greek geographer from the 1st century BCE who really leaned into the grandeur. His accounts drooled over the garden's massive size and the endless parade of exotic plant species thriving under the brutal Babylonian sun. He also praised the endless ingenuity of their irrigation, which could make even today's engineers blush. One thing they both agreed on? Whoever built it pulled off a Herculean feat of architecture and horticulture in a place hotter than a jalapeno's armpit. But wait, did they actually exist? Not everyone's buying what Oasis and Strabo were selling. Many historians think the tales might be a little too fabulous. Some suspect the gardens might have been real, but not in Babylon at all. Maybe they were actually in Nineveh, the Assyrian capital, miles away. If that's true, it's history's longest-running case of mistaken identity. Archaeologists have found some tantalizing clues: ancient plumbing systems, giant stone basins, and bits of irrigation infrastructure. But whether they relate directly to the Hanging Gardens or just a really enthusiastic ancient sprinkler system, no one's sure. It's like trying to solve a cold case from 2,500 years ago without fingerprints, DNA, or even a clear address. Engineering feats that would make NASA proud. Assuming the Hanging Gardens were real, one thing's clear: they were way ahead of their time in engineering terms. Watering a multi-tiered, skyscraper-sized garden in a desert isn't exactly a just add water situation. Ancient descriptions suggest ingenious devices like water wheels or Archimedean screws, think giant, ancient water elevators that lifted water from the nearby Euphrates River to the garden's highest terraces. And we're not talking about a couple of petunias here. These terraces were apparently brimming with massive trees, flowering plants, and vines plants that were definitely not native to Babylon's scorched earth. Maintaining all that required meticulous irrigation networks, canals, reservoirs, and channels crisscrossing the structure, ensuring each leafy resident got its drink. In short, the gardeners of Babylon weren't hobbyists. They were full-blown hydraulic engineers moonlighting as landscape artists. Water, water everywhere. The Euphrates River wasn't just a handy water source. It carried deep symbolic meaning in Mesopotamian culture. Flowing water represented life, prosperity, and transformation, the power to turn barren dust bowls into vibrant, flourishing paradises. In a civilization where survival hinged on mastering irrigation, water control wasn't just technical prowess, it was spiritual authority. By taming the waters to feed the hanging gardens, Nebuchadnezzar wasn't merely flaunting his hydraulic engineering. He was flexing his divine muscle, suggesting he could bring a slice of the heavens down to earth and plant it right outside his palace. In Mesopotamian myths, gods often hung out in gardens atop sacred mountains, lounging among streams and exotic plants, basically holding VIP passes to paradise. So when Nebuchadnezzar recreated this setup, he wasn't just earning brownie points with Queen Midas. He was declaring in big leafy letters, "I am powerful enough to house the divine." No wonder later civilizations, from Persia to Rome, became obsessed with building their own elaborate gardens as symbols of cosmic and royal power. Paradise, literally. The word paradise actually comes from the Old Persian term paradisa, meaning walled enclosure or royal garden. Coincidence? We think not. Early Persians used paradisa to describe luxurious gardens designed as earthly reflections of heavenly order. For Mesopotamians, gardens symbolized more than relaxation spots. They were spaces of spiritual rejuvenation, generosity, and harmony with the gods. These lush oases were physical metaphors for cosmic balance, where nature, civilization, and the divine intertwined seamlessly. The hanging gardens, if real, weren't just beautiful. They were sacred declarations of human aspiration. Nature conquered, improved, and made heavenly. And all without a single lawnmower, just a bunch of ancient engineers who somehow figured out plant nutrition thousands of years before Miracle-Gro hit the shelves. Hanging gardens, the original green architecture. Fast forward a few millennia, and the dream of the hanging gardens is still alive and surprisingly well. Modern architects love stealing a little ancient thunder by designing lush green terraces and vertical gardens. Think Milan's Bosco Verticale, those gorgeous residential towers wrapped in 900 trees and over 2,000 shrubs. Or Singapore's mind-blowing Super Tree Grove, where giant trees stretch up to 50 meters tall and are covered in more than 200 species of plants. These projects combine sleek architecture with riotous greenery, blending environmental consciousness with jaw-dropping beauty. Sound familiar? It's basically Babylon 2.0, just with fewer camels, more elevators, and thankfully, better Wi-Fi. Even the concept of sustainable urban watering systems like drip irrigation, rainwater harvesting, and smart green roofs can trace their DNA back to ideas pioneered in ancient Babylon. Those ancient engineers weren't just building gardens. They were laying down blueprints for future eco-cities, teaching us that great cities aren't just concrete jungles. They're thriving ecosystems where humanity and nature grow side by side. And that's a wrap on the incredible leafy mystery of the hanging gardens of Babylon. If you enjoyed taking this wild, smash that like and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one, where history comes to life, one wonder at a time.